Welcome back to Beyond the Classroom. I'm your host, Lisa Harding, and today I'm joined by Rachael Johnson, a former music teacher who now runs her own copywriting business and hosts the What Do You Want podcast. And while, yes, Rachael is an entrepreneur now, this episode is about so much more than entrepreneurship. We dive deep and get into some nitty-gritties about any career transition. We talk very real, very human sides of career transitions in this episode. We'll talk about what it feels like when things don't go according to plan, how scary and freeing it can be to put yourself first. We talk about the importance of asking for help, advocating for yourself, and surrounding yourself with people who truly get it. So if you're in the messy middle of your own career transition, this conversation will give you permission to trust the detours and remind you that confidence and clarity don't always come first, but they do come. Let's dive in. I'm Lisa Harding, ex-EdTech CEO turned certified teacher career coach. It wasn't all that long ago that I was recruiting, interviewing, and hiring teachers for roles in corporate America. Teachers that ended up being some of my all-time best employees. Fast forward through my own career transition, where I left my role as CEO to become a stay-at-home mom, I now work with and empower teachers to transform their lives by turning their once distant career dreams into realities. In this podcast, I give you simple, actionable, step-by-step strategies to help you do the same. If you're a burnt-out teacher or simply need a change and you're looking to create a life you love, you're in the right place, friend. Let's get started. Welcome, Rachael. We're so excited to have you as a guest today. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm really excited to talk about whatever it is we talk about. I have so many ideas and thoughts about everything. So happy to help your listeners, Today's
going to be really fun because Rachael and I actually have some things in common that my audience may or may not know about me. And I guess the big thing is, Rachael was once in your shoes, a former teacher, and now an entrepreneur. And so I'm just really excited to kind of hear about that journey. As my listeners know, I'm also an entrepreneur. But Rachael, let's start back when you were teaching. What did you teach? Where did you teach? And what sparked for you to leave teaching?
Okay. How much time do we have? I taught music. I taught music for 14 years. 7 of those years were in New York. 7 of them were just outside Chicago. And absolutely loved it. But it was funny because I had the hardest time finding a teaching job when I graduated in 2010. And it took me a year of just subbing for like $85 a day while living with my parents before I got a part-time job in the Catholic schools. My first salary was $11,900. This is again 2011, so it's not that much. And then went full-time in the Catholic schools to a whopping $25K, yay. And then did that for 3 years till I got a part-time job in a public school. It was like a 0.6, but it was the same salary. So I thought, great, foot in the door, public school, I'll leave. And then they riffed me at the end of the year. And I was also going through a divorce and my cat died. It was quite the year. It was just insane. And then I moved to Chicago. I was like, that's it. I moved to Chicago, found the job of my dreams in Chicago. I had the best boss. She was just so she was a human. She just spoke to you like an equal, and she cared so much about the arts and music, and she wanted everyone to have a voice, and she was amazing. And I remember driving around, just driving into work every day and being like, oh my gosh, is this my life? Is this the rest of my life? I'm going to be here in this job with this in this school. And but I also knew that principal, it was near retirement age. So she retires, and I also thought, well, maybe I'll go out with her, because when I initially moved to Chicago, I did try to apply to non-teaching jobs. I wasn't 100% sure I wanted to keep teaching, because I struggled so much just finding a job in New York. But then when I got the job, I was like, this is great. But I'm like, I know she's going to retire one day. And so COVID hit, and I started thinking, I'm like, maybe I'll plan my exit when she plans her exit. I'll find something else to do, because I don't know if I can work under anybody else. She's such a great boss. And so COVID hits. I'm teaching music online on Zoom to kindergartners for a full year. And she announces in 2021 that she's retiring, and it's May. And I'm like, no, you're supposed to give me more time. Now I have to stay at least one more year because I can't figure it out in like a month, you know? So he announces, but I will say at that time I was planning it. I was like listening to teacher um transition podcasts, like a couple of them, and trying to figure out like what I wanted to do. When I did eventually leave, because I was really trying to make my exit plan, but she exited sooner than I thought. So I was like, okay. So I had been studying copywriting at the time. I bought a copywriting course, and the way I came about copywriting was again listening to a teacher podcast of who's someone who's interviewing former teachers. And so when and I was just listening to all the different jobs teachers have transitioned to, because when you're a teacher, all you know is teaching. Like like you just think like this is all I have. What other skills can I apply? You know nothing about corporate worlds unless like maybe your partner, significant other is in that. But even then you don't know. So it's really scary to think about leaving that. And so yeah, so like I had no idea. So I was just listening to I would just scan through the podcast. I go, oh, this teacher, okay, that sounds interesting. Curriculum design, okay, and just listening through. So a copywriter came on, and I didn't even know or quite understood what copywriting was as I was listening, but I was pulled in, and I didn't know why. So I was like, this is Rachel, MO. I'm just gonna follow the gut feeling. I don't even understand what this is. Copy, like what? I don't get it. It wasn't like clicking. So I just kept like researching it, and then all of a sudden it clicked when I was watching Mad Men, and I was like, oh, copy. They've been talking about. I've watched this series like twice, and I was more into the drama, right? I was like, oh, they're copyright. Oh, they're writing. Okay, I get it now. So yeah, so I started just like studying. I bought like a $100 course to learn the basics and make a fake portfolio, all that kind of stuff. But then to talk about the reason why I wanted to leave, it's funny, like with my great boss, I wanted to leave because I think part of me felt antsy. Like I couldn't imagine myself in one classroom for my entire life. And I'm very much like I have to move, I have to change, I have to challenge myself. And it was like year 5 or 6 of doing the same curriculum. I love the kids. Like one part I loved about teaching music was seeing the kids from kindergarten through 5th grade just grow up and just seeing them every year and really building that relationship. But just, I'm like, is this my life now? Am I going to be here when I'm 55, 60 and just do this? And so that was getting me. And then I'm also, my family's in New York. So I'm like, am I just going to be in Chicago? Like, how am I going to do this? And that's one thing I really frustrates me about education in the States is that if you move districts, you get a salary cut. You don't get a promotion. You get a demotion if you decide to change your life circumstances. It's such a negative, it's a drawback. So the clincher when I was like, nope, I have to go out on my own, is when my principal left. And I don't want to say too much because I don't want to ever get sued or anything. But the new administration that came in, the superintendent of this district, and then the principal that came in that he brought in after my great boss left, was an absolute nightmare. And I don't want to get into it because I've been talking for a while here, but it was just, I was restricted. I was disrespected. I couldn't do anything creative. Like the kids had to sit in desks. This was all like just after, well, COVID was still happening, I guess, but they were really strict about the COVID rules. Fine, whatever. But like I was getting treated differently than other teachers. Like for whatever reason, this principal had it out for me. And I won't go into reasons why I think why, but I just was like, I can't do this. I'm done. I'm not going to be treated this way. This is so disrespectful. So I put in my leave of absence at the end of that school year. I dealt with it for the whole year, for the 10 months. I was sobbing going into work every day.
Aww.
I was having stomach aches. So it was just like, okay, I've been thinking about leaving. Now here's the catalyst, right? Like here's where it's time for me to go, because this person I feel like is pushing me out. I don't want her to win. I'm going to win by making the decision to leave. Like that's how I had it in my head. Like I'm
yeah,
leaving
and no
because,
job
like,
is worth what you were going through. And I know a lot of our listeners, I mean, I work with teachers on a whole spectrum of how they're feeling. Some people are in your exact shoes, and it's, it's so sad to see. But standing up for yourself and doing what's best for you, like no one can ever, say anything bad about that. So kudos to you. So I want to go back and touch on and I think we should bring this up. And I mentioned this before we started recording that I did copywriting at one point in my career too.
Yeah.
And to your point, a lot of people might not know what that is. So let's just briefly talk about what is copywriting, and then we can kind of unpeel some more layers of the whole journey of entrepreneurship. So, but what's copywriting?
Copywriting, yeah. The really simple way, it's the simple explanation is the words you read to help you decide if you want to buy something or not. That's a very simple version. Copywriting, conversion copywriting, high converting copywriting is doing a lot of research before you write a single word, and understanding your audience so you know the language they speak, so you can write what connects with them. So I do a lot of website copywriting and a lot of emails. And when I first started copywriting and I was taking this course, they were really kind of pushing us towards like just ads, those Mad Men ads, right? Like just, the 2-3 words you might see on a billboard or a commercial or something. But as I dug deeper into it and was taking other courses and getting deeper into copywriting circles, I really found I enjoyed website copy. If you don't have you can have a great, beautiful website design, but if the words on the website are not speaking to the people who are visiting, they're going to bounce, right? And they're not going to keep reading. So you want to make the user design friendly, the copy UX friendly, and make sure that the words are really resonating with the people. So I really like doing that, like doing the research, audience surveys, and then writing the copy for websites, and then emails too. We get so many emails, and if the copy in your email isn't grabbing people right away, they're gonna keep going, so.
And it's funny. So folks that might be listening to the podcast, I know a lot of them are members of our Teacher Career Transition Academy, and I actually bring copywriting into the academy, and two specific places. One is when we talk about LinkedIn and they write their about section. And then the other big one is their cover letter when they're applying for jobs. And I'm like, okay, I know you don't know all the copywriting techniques, but our goal here is to keep the eye moving. So it's like block text, punchy single sentences, bullet points. And as a hiring manager too, I get tons of cover letters, and they're all written the same, Rachel. They're like big block, heavy text paragraphs. Honestly, I don't want to read it.
No.
So in the academy, our template for cover letter, you would love it. It is from like a copywriting perspective.
Cool.
And I have looked at thousands of cover letters, and like I've never seen one like mine, and it's the one that I actually used in my own professional life. So anyway, I feel like it's coming full circle, because these copywriting techniques, it's an art form is how I say it. And I think it's interesting because you were an arts teacher, a teacher of the arts, and now you're doing it's when you think about it, you're like, oh, it's writing, and that might not be an art, but like copywriting truly is an art form. It's a very creative process. So I love that for you. And I think that's really fun. And I think a lot of teachers, just with what they do and who you are to be a teacher in the first place, you like literacy, usually you're probably a creative person. It seems like a nice natural fit. I think the scary part of it is you're not just a copywriter, but you're also an entrepreneur copywriter, which means like that's a whole other aspect of your personal career path. So I want to talk about copywriting, but I also want to talk about just entrepreneurship as well.
Yeah.
Before we jump into that, I just, you're in the industry a lot more. Like, are there things as full-time copywriters? Like, could people go work at a company as a copywriter for full-time, or is it more like contract work like you do?
It does. Well, so from my experience, so I can only speak personally from like what I've seen, a lot of it's contract work. And like agencies will just contract out. You can find copywriter jobs, but full-time somewhere. But maybe not as a beginner. Like for me, like I was self-taught in a way, right? Because I was just buying online courses. I didn't go to a portfolio school, or go to school for marketing where I could use that as, I have a bachelor's in marketing, So I was to even apply for anything like that. I did connect with a full-time a senior copywriter here in Chicago. I'm in Chicago right now, so I'm here in Chicago. who works in one of the, downtown, and I forget the name of the company, but he let me come in a few times and see just kind of how things work and stuff like that. And it seems super cool, but I guess I didn't have the confidence to apply. I also was like, I don't want to be a junior copywriter making like less than I was teaching. I just want to try to go for this and make more money, freelancing and starting my own business. So I did that. I'm still doing that. But you can, I mean, but the other thing you can do is just pitch agencies, and if you have overflow work, and I've done that too. So and then and then maybe you get a foot in the door, and then if you prove yourself, then you could end up being full time with them, kind of like teaching, right? You get part time somewhere and prove yourself full time.
So is copywriting your sole source of supporting yourself right now?
Right now it is, yes. And I was so like, yeah, it was not a linear, it's still like, it's not necessarily a linear line. Like, full transparency, last year when I moved back from Chicago to New York, when I was in Chicago, I was teaching, and they put me in a position that I didn't want to be in, because if you don't mind, I'm going to go back a little bit to talk about the transition from teaching to being full-time copywriting, because like I said, it wasn't linear. I took the leave of absence for a year. That was the plan. And this was in 2022. And I was like, I'm just going to go all in, like just pitch, have my business and be so successful and so great that I don't have to go back, and I'll get rid of and then the leave of absence time finishes up, I'll just resign, right? That was my plan. I had it in my head. Well, no, that did not go according to plan, because starting your own business, you have no business background and you're just going for it, and you don't have a business plan, which I didn't. It's not going to go. I mean, it could, but for me, it did not go as well as I had hoped. So I got so weird that first fall, not going into teaching, and just like, okay, I guess this is what I'm doing. I'm pitching, and I'm going to get clients. And so I did get some clients. I was working, but I wasn't making that money that I thought, and I was panicking. By March, I was starting to panic. I was like, oh my gosh, am I going to have? And it was just going into a downward spiral of panic, and it wasn't helping. And so I'm like, am I going to have money for rent in June? I'm thinking a couple months ahead. And then what happened was the district called me and said, we can't find a string teacher for this position. Can you come in and teach strings for the remainder of the year? And I was like, sure, because I'm starting to freak out a bit. I'm doubting myself. I had so much imposter syndrome when I left and just did this copywriting thing. That's something else I would love to touch on, is like, the imposter syndrome was really challenging for me. A lot of self-doubt. And I think that's what held me back up until like even 6 months ago. So we're talking kind of fresh here. So I went back to teaching, and I said, I only want to go back and teach strings as long as I don't want to be teaching strings in the fall. So I was starting to be like, maybe copywriting is not for me, but if I can be a band or string teacher, maybe I can stay in teaching. So I was just starting to panic and really doubt myself. So then they kept me in the string position in the fall, and I'm not a string teacher. I taught general music, chorus, and clarinet was my major. And they didn't listen. They kept me in the string position for the fall, and but I was too scared to resign. I mean, I smartly, I shouldn't have resigned, because I did need the money. Copywriting wasn't going as according to plan, and that was really on me, because I was scared to pitch to a lot of people, hire, paying clients. So I was in the string position, and then my partner was like, I got a job off in September. He goes, I got a job offer back home in your hometown. Do you want to go back home? And I'm like, yep, whatever we can do to get out of teaching, and especially in the string position too. I feel bad for the kids, really, that they aren't getting a quality education, because I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't know why the district put me in this position. So we moved to New York in December of 2023, and I had a retainer client, so I was still 1 foot in the door writing copy for retainer clients, still sort of pitching, but just doing the teaching thing. And then when we moved back, I'm like, all right, I'm not going to try to find a teaching job. I'm going to look for marketing jobs. So that's when I was applying to full-time copywriting jobs. Wasn't getting any hits, because a lot of people, they're very competitive. If you don't know someone, it's hard to get in. So I was applying, but I'm like, all right, I guess I have to go all in. So I worked for I did work for a marketing agency as a contractor. I had a retainer. I was pitching, just taking small jobs. And then I don't know, I forgot what your question was initially, but I was trying to like circle it back to whatever your question was because it all was leading to that.
Hey teachers, quick break in the podcast because I have something truly special for you. The Teacher Career Transition Summit is a free virtual event packed with expert advice, real success stories, and step-by-step guidance to help you explore new careers and land a job you love. It's happening on Saturday, June 14th. So if you're hearing this before then, go grab your free ticket. And if it's already passed, no worries. You can access the full replays or join a waitlist for the next one. Head on over to our website, teachercareertransitionacademy.com/summit to check out what's available now. And back to the podcast. Well, I feel like there's been a lot of great information. I don't either remember my initial question either, but I love your story and bringing up imposter syndrome because that is definitely something I see I think every teacher I think everyone has that, and teachers especially. And I think it's really good to hear that other people have had it too and have come out on the other side. And these are normal feelings. They're okay to have, but it's very important to work through them. In the academy, we do a lot of like mindset. We talk about mindset, and specifically there's a coaching on overcoming imposter syndrome because it really can like hold us back from our true potential. And making a career change or any big life change, even moving, is a huge deal. And it's, I say it's not easy. Like none of this is easy. And a big part of it is the mental aspect of all of this too.
Yeah. And I want to say too, just to jump in with for anyone experiencing imposter syndrome, just find someone who has your back. Like if you're going to start a business, get a business coach who can validate you. If you're going into, a career field and you're just find a mentor of some sort who has your back, who can validate, confirm that you're doing great. You just need those little pats on the back. They're really, really helpful. And that was the turning point for me, was getting a retainer client who was actually another copywriter who could actually say, like, if she was saying to me, wow, this is an amazing email, I believed her because she was a copywriter a few years ahead of me. And that was when my imposter syndrome, like this was about a year ago, really started to flip on its head. And I started to gain the confidence to pitch those higher paying clients and to just not feel like feeling good about myself and feeling good about the work that I'm doing and not being scared to put myself out there more and promote myself.
And there's just something about energy that I think runs through, whether a listener, you're going into entrepreneurship or you're going to be applying for jobs and meeting people as a hiring manager, there is 1,000% different energy in the interview when the person on the other side of the table from me is confident versus someone that's not confident. And me individually, I will always lean towards the confident person. So maybe that's another unexpected takeaway from this episode, is just how confidence is contagious and how it is important, whether you're becoming an entrepreneur or taking another route. And that kind of all comes back to mindset too. And listeners can't see, Rachel and I can see each other now. Like, she has a great smile on her face. She's talking about what she's doing. She's passionate about what she's doing. So even the confidence here today is just so nice. And it's good to know that there will be hard times. And Rachel shared, struggles, mental, other things. But there's also life on the other side and happiness on the other side. So we know a little bit about copy. We've talked a little bit about your journey. What about just entrepreneurship in general? Is there a challenge that sticks out to you that you weren't expecting?
Yeah, I'd say the imposter syndrome.
Okay,
that was it. I mean, it was because, I didn't go to school for copywriting, right? And I was teaching myself online through all the courses. I spent so much money on courses that I really did use and have again, validated that I know what I'm talking about and helped me get jobs too. But a lot of it's networking though, who you know. There's a really good book called Who Not How. I think it's called Who Not How by Benjamin Hardy. And it's about, just surrounding yourself around like people that that can help you, that can help you through your business journey. And just, yeah, reaching out and connecting with others, putting yourself out there, just offering to help. Um, but I will say that I lost my train of thought. We can edit this out, right?
Editing, I think it kind of goes back to like the networking and the
Yeah.
really like putting yourself out there, having the confidence to put yourself out there and networking your way like through this transition.
Yeah. And that's what got me, I mean, that's what led me to the turning point client. I'll call her the turning point client, the one that is just, she's basically a mirror image of me, I guess, because she's what I want to be. I want to help the next upcoming copywriter and validate them and help them get through their imposter syndrome and and like get them more work and stuff like that, because she helped me get rid she helped me like just change, yeah, my own view of myself, and also helped me get rid of a client that I was not enjoying. I called him marketing bro. Uh, and I that's the other thing too, is like your boundaries. When you don't know what you don't know what you don't know until you know it. And that's something that comes up a lot too, I think, in entrepreneurship, is if someone were to say to me, Rachel, what would you tell yourself 3 years ago? I'm like, it doesn't matter, because she wouldn't listen. Like, or she just wouldn't have the knowledge in her head yet to be able to like make better decisions. Like, you just don't know what you don't know. And so I read a lot of books. I'm going to shout out a few books that I thought were super helpful for anyone wanting to dive into entrepreneurship. Everything is Figure Outable by Marie Forleo. Maybe you've mentioned that one, because that's a good one for just teachers too, who maybe aren't going into entrepreneurship, but just trying to transition. That's a great book. Everything is Figure Outable. Chill and Prosper by Denise Duffield Thomas. That's a great one for, she calls it a chillpreneur. So if anyone listening is interested in entrepreneurship, that's a great start, because she gives you ideas as to what you might want to do, like and how it doesn't have to be hard. Again, easier said than done, but that's a great book. And then if you're in the thick of it, this book I'm reading right now is called Book Yourself Solid for Creatives by Michael Port and Joanna Galvao. And that just came out. That version just came out, or edition just came out. And I have found those books really helpful too. And yeah, I don't know.
Well, thanks for sharing that. If I'm not sure if the clickety clack of my keyboard is going to come through in the recording, but I wrote those down so I can stick the names of those books in the show notes. Another great takeaway is just, your education will always continue. And this is a journey. And as you pointed out, Rachel, it's not always linear. It's usually not. We wish it were. But I think, going back to your other point, surrounding yourself with people that will lift you up, people that will support you, even just like-minded people. I know teachers that are going through the transition. We have a couple great Facebook groups, and people will just say like, I never, just the Facebook group itself has helped me realize I'm not alone, has, helped me through it. Like, there's just something about being around other people that are going through what you're going through that helps.
That is it. And, when you're in it, when you're in education, you're teaching, there's the stigma of like feeling bad about leaving, because you're like when I had to tell my students, my fourth graders who were my kindergartners, when I had to share with them I'm taking a leave of absence, I was holding back the tears. I mean, they were it's so hard. Like, if you're thinking about the kids, and then the judgment from parents, or not parents, other teachers possibly, and then even my friends who I didn't work with but were teachers, I felt a disconnect from them after I left teaching, because it used to be we would talk about teaching all the time, and it's almost like, oh, that was the basis of our friendship, was talking about our struggles with teaching, I guess our successes, but like, that was the link. And so when you leave teaching, the other part that you don't think about is how relationships change, for better and worse. Like, they just change. And And the energy thing is really important. Like you said, like you collect the energy that you surround yourself with. And so if you're having negative energy or feeling that negative energy from other people, that can affect you. And just, I guess, like, yeah, for me, I had to start being not careful, but just like thinking about how I'm having conversations with other people who are still in the field, because just not everyone gets why you want to leave, I guess. That makes any sense.
Yeah. And that's okay. And I think
Yeah.
it's okay to have your truth and your story. And it's also okay for someone else not to understand. And speaking of books, I just finished Let Them Theory from Mel
Oh
Robbins. So
yeah.
my
I
thing,
want to be
okay,
her.
let them. Let them, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna go and do
Yep.
me. So maybe I should. I think a lot of people know that book, but maybe I'll
Yes.
drop
Very
that in the show
popular.
notes too. Um,
Yeah.
okay, so um, let's say as we kind of wrap up here, we have some listeners, and I feel like this kind of got off from maybe digging into specifics on entrepreneurship, but I think we ended up talking about better topics like energy and surrounding yourself with people and imposter syndrome, which I know everyone relates to. But if someone
Yeah.
today was curious just about living this life of entrepreneurship, but they were terrified because it is so different from the structure of teaching, what would you say to them?
I would first tell them, if they're going to go into it, have a nice, decent savings. So like prepare financially, because those, I don't know what everyone's, algorithms are saying in the ads, but there's so much income marketing out there, like, oh, take my course and to be an entrepreneur, or to do this or that, and make your $10,000 months by month 3, and it's just like, don't listen to that. I want to say, like, I just, I would have your, I mean, I guess if like you feel pulled right towards a course and you take it. I mean, I took my fair share of courses and they were definitely helpful, but they weren't bringing me $10,000 months within 6 months. That wasn't happening, to be fully transparent. So I would say, like, have a decent savings, have support, and read those books. And give yourself time to reflect, journal, and find other entrepreneurs. Like, again, like surround yourself around other people who get it and support you, like truly support you and want you to win. I think that's the other thing. Like, I want everyone to win. I want everybody to succeed, and I feel that way. Yet for some reason, and it took me up until about 6 months ago to like get past this thought. For some reason, I thought, like, well, nobody else wants to help me though. Like, I want to help people, but like no one wants to help me. And I don't know, like, if that makes sense, or but like it's just like another weird like inner monologue that we have with ourselves, I think, where it's just like, or you're afraid to ask for help. Actually, let me give a really quick example that happened yesterday. I i have a biz bestie. I'll tell everyone, I get a biz bestie if you got one. I actually quote unquote proposed to my biz bestie. I said, will you be my biz bestie? We're just getting along so well. We get along a lot of levels, and she's a coach for moms, a life coach. And I'm like, we just have similar struggles, similar, ADHD tendencies. And so, like, let's hold each other accountable. And so yesterday, or a few days ago, there was someone in our like mutual circle who was who mentioned that she's doing this event, and it's like a visual branding event. And I thought, like, personal branding, so like a glow up kind of thing with getting your photos done and doing videos and hair and makeup and stuff. And I thought, well, it'd be great if I could join in on that event as a copywriter, as a messaging strategist, and sit down with these personal people who are running these personal brands and do a website mini audit or a brand voice clarity session with them. And that would really help enhance their brand, because it's not all visual, right? There's so much with the messaging and the words and the copy. And I was so scared to approach this person. And she's the sweetest person in the world. And all she has is good vibes. And all she wants is for other women to succeed. She's very much like women empowerment. And I realized, I'm going to pull it up because I want to say exactly how I said it. I was saying to my biz bestie, I'm like, I'm scared to approach her with my idea, which is so silly because I know it's a good idea and I know she's so sweet. And then I said to her, she's so nice. I don't know why I'm worried. I think what it is that I'm just uncomfortable advocating for myself and putting myself out there if we're going to name it. And she's like,
Aw.
yeah, there it is. You have awareness and you're acknowledging it, but then you went ahead and did it. Cause I did send her a message, but
Yay!
it was just like advocating for myself. So to say all of that ramble and to summarize it, advocate for yourself and put yourself out there. The more you do it, the more comfortable you'll get doing it. And before you know it, it'll be second nature. And so I put myself out there a lot. Like, as you know, I approached you. That doesn't bother me through email, but this person I already kind of knew, and to have this idea that if it comes into fruition, it could really be something that would benefit my business was so scary. It was like a different level. But I did it. And I'm like, oh, it's just because I'm uncomfortable advocating for myself in this scenario. So now I'll do more of it. So yeah, just put yourself out there, have your biz bestie, and the imposter syndrome will shed itself and you'll feel better and better every day.
One aside, because I'm a career coach and I can't hear something like this without chiming in, and my audience might know that about me now. The other place that advocating for yourself really comes in, I mean, there's a lot of places in the transition process, but also like negotiating your salary and your worth at the end of the cycle. And so to me, I'm listening to this, and what you're saying is resonating with so many people I work with. It's like, they get the offer and they're just so excited to be out of the classroom, right? Like it's awkward to ask for money, or it's, it's awkward to, as you put it, like advocate for yourself. But every time you do, you're going to get a little bit more money. And honestly, as a hiring manager, sometimes when people don't ask for more, I'm like, like, why didn't you take the initiative and at least try to negotiate?
Yes.
So it's like, do it and put yourself out there. Like, everyone else is doing it. Teachers are incredible. Their skill set is mind blowing. I always say this, they're some of the best hires that I've ever made. You just got to believe in yourself and know that you're amazing, because you are.
And I will say too, no, never mind. I lost it.
No worries, because this was such a great conversation from learning what copywriting is, getting motivated, maybe if someone is considering entrepreneurship, but just your journey. So many things from imposter syndrome, surrounding yourself with people, energy, and confidence. I'm just so excited about this episode, and thank you, Rachael, for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you, Lisa. Thanks for having me on.
Rachael, again, thank you so much for joining me and sharing your story so openly. Your journey is such a powerful reminder that transitions don't have to be perfect to be meaningful, and that it's okay to change your mind, your path, and your priorities. If this conversation resonated with you, I hope you walk away remembering this. You're allowed to change, you're allowed to take a detour, and you don't have to do it alone. If you want to connect with Rachael or learn more about her copywriting work, check out the links in the show notes. And don't forget to give her podcast, What Do You Want, a listen. And if you're in the middle of your own what now moment, the Teacher Career Transition Academy is here to support you every step of the way. If you loved this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a teacher friend who needs to hear it. Until next time, friends, the journey is just the beginning. Embrace the adventure.